Welcome back to Studio Life. I'm Claire, and this is Victoria. And today we want to
Hey.
talk little bit about nurturing nervous new students. I operate from a place of assuming every new student is nervous. As I understand it, some of them aren't, but that's not really my lived experience of going to something for the first time. So I'm assuming everyone
Mm.
is having a tough time. If you're not, great. But today we're going to talk a little bit about those people that are going to have a difficult time coming to your class from the get go.
Yeah, it can be really scary to try a new thing. And even if they've been like doing yoga or dance their whole lives or something like that, if they're going to a new studio space or even just a new class with a new instructor, you can just kind of have a little bit of, yeah, you're a little nervous, you're a little unsure. I think one of the things I find is that so many people, when they're coming into a new space, they're just like, I don't know what the rules are yet. Like, I don't
Right.
know what the vibe is. Like, do you come in early? Where do I put my things?
Mhm.
Um, do I want to, go to a specific spot? Like, what if I step on a regular's toes or I do the
Right.
wrong thing and I, you know, mess up my opportunity to be friends with people? These are a lot of like things I've certainly thought when I've gone into new places.
And I think it's hard because as staff or instructors or the person welcoming that person in, you need to be on and be helping them and be encouraging them and nurturing them and telling them everything they need to know. But you might have five other people walking in at the same time that need that same level of care. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I mean, I love this and respect it. But for some people, if they have a terrible first experience, it will be too much and that's it, and that's fine. I totally understand those types of brains and I get it. But you really need to raise your level of welcome to that level. And there'll be people that don't need that level of welcome, but there'll certainly be a lot of people that do. So my approach with my
Yeah.
staff and my instructors when I was running a studio was everything else can wait. If you've got someone who's set foot in your studio for the first time, they need to know everything. Like Victoria was just saying, they need to know where to put their things. They need to know where to get a mat. They need to know what's likely to happen before a class. They need to know that their
Mhm.
things are going to be safe when they leave them. So if you're asking them to leave, their
Mhm.
mobile phone, things like that, are they going to stay safe? You don't want someone lying in a 1 hour yoga class wondering if someone's stealing their phone. Where's the toilet? Can I go during class?
Big one. Mhm.
Long list. And I know, particularly in yoga studios, you don't want signs everywhere. You kind of want a cleaner space. So it's incredibly important to welcome those people. And I think what can really help you with that is setting it up. So putting things on your website, like a good FAQ section, showing people
Mm.
where to find the information that they need. I'm not sure about your experience in dance studios, Victoria. Is it generally like a little tour when people walk in, or
Yeah.
what's the general process?
Definitely, like, it's, intro, I would say, like, well, I mean, I know it seems odd, but the first thing, like, tell them your name.
Yeah.
Get their name, tell them your name,
Mhm.
welcome them. Usually, I'm like, sometimes, one, Punchpass kinda helps me because I can see who's in, who's new, but you
Right.
can also usually tell by the fear in their eyes as they're
Yeah.
walking into the space, but I'm always yes, I'm like, "Bathroom, mat, here's how the class is structured." I
Yeah.
usually, like, let people know exactly what to expect, and again, we have it here's the thing, we have it all written up,
Right.
it's all really detailed on the website and when people make reservations, but in that moment, do they remember everything that we told them or sent them? No. So you kinda wanna have your spiel ready, and I know that sounds like, it's not like a elevator pitch, but it's more like the 5 minute, or 2 minute tour and an
Mhm.
explanation of here's what's going to happen. You're in the right place and you're doing everything great. I usually let people know like you're
Yeah.
doing fine. Like you came here, you made it in the door, like you've already won today
That's exactly what
and
I used to say. You've done a yoga class. Like, you're here. You've done the
you did it.
thing. Even when we're sitting and getting ready to get started and there's still an hour, ahead of
Yeah.
them, they have. They've very much already done the thing. And it's really important to acknowledge that. When I first started to get into yoga, it took me 6 months to go to a class at a new studio. Every week I'd
Mhm.
be like, I'm going to go on Tuesday, 6 p.m. I still remember Tuesday, 6 p.m. And every
Yeah.
week I'd come up with some reason because it just built up in my head so much that it was a lot. So when I eventually got there, you can imagine these people, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of build up. You've got a moment to really grab them and make them feel very, very welcome.
Yeah. I have the same story. I moved when we moved to Portland, I found the studio I looked at it online and then I took my first class a year later.
Yeah,
So,
it's wild.
yeah, and
And we're
like,
very different in terms of, yeah, our personalities and,
yeah,
yeah, more extroverted, more introverted, but still the experience is similar no matter who you are, I think. Very few people are extremely confident walking into a new place for the first time.
yeah.
And I think to touch on that a little bit, just a few other little things I've been thinking about. I don't
Mhm.
think pairing your newer students with an older student, even, like even if you've got a student who's been coming for 2 years and you're like, oh, you can show them around, that's not fair. I don't think, unless they're involved in the studio in some other capacity, even if they say they're happy to do it, I don't think that's a fair thing to put on them, especially around their practice. That's not
Yeah.
it. And managing the introductions and that sense of community, I think just letting that evolve over time. We don't all need to introduce ourselves to each other. Hopefully that will facilitate itself. I don't know how you do it in your world,
Yeah, I
Victoria.
was gonna say, I definitely wouldn't want a student to be the person who,
Mm,
that's someone that we don't really have kind of any say over. I like, as a
right.
studio owner, I think we want to talk to your instructors about when someone new comes in, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, just setting expectations, because then you know what, you can kind of control the message a little bit. Obviously, you can't control what everyone says, but in terms of if you're a studio owner and you have other instructors there, you want to kind of give them like, hey, make sure that if someone is brand new, you let them know XYZ.
Yeah.
And so, it's obviously going to be a little different for everyone. But yeah, I wouldn't immediately be like, hey, passing them off to someone
No.
else. I wanna make them feel like they're getting taken care of is nice. You want to sort of, you don't wanna make them feel uncomfortable, like, by pointing out that they're the new person, but you wanna, nurture them
Initially,
as they walk in the door.
absolutely. And I think that brings up a really good point about after class as well.
Mm,
There's a sense of scuttling out the door if you're new and you've just done this new big, especially if it was your new if it's first yoga class ever, for example, that is pretty big.
right.
And there's a scuttling, feeling that you want to do and you just want to get in your car where you feel comfortable or whatever it is. But I think
Mhm.
as a studio owner or the instructor or whoever's there, it's really important to acknowledge that person, just how was class? Hope you enjoyed it. And I think it's really
Yeah.
important to resist the urge to say things like you did great or better luck next time, champ. Like maybe that's
Oh,
not,
no. Yeah. Don't do
like
that.
there's no that you've judged them or
Mhm.
decided how well they've done at their first class, I think, because they
Right.
will dwell on that, like it's not, there's no sense of that. They came, they saw, they tried, that's the end of the story. But give them a little love on the way out the door can go a really long way to having them come
Mm.
back.
Thank 'em for coming
Yeah, absolutely. That
and
sort of
for
vibe.
being brave enough to try something new.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
key. They came. That's it. And we just need to make them as comfortable as we
Absolutely.
can. So hopefully they'll come back.
Absolutely.